Hello, and welcome to the AusCannaPodcast, where we explore people, ideas, and conversations shaping cannabis culture around the world. I'm your host, Christina McMullan. Most people think change happens in Parliament, in policy rooms, or when official announcements are made. But more often than not, that's not where it starts. It starts in lived experience, in moments of recovery, in conversations that don't feel significant at the time, but end up shaping everything that follows. When I sat down with today's guest, Xavier Menta, I expected we'd be talking primarily about politics. And we do. We get into election campaigns, polling booths, and grassroots organizing. But listening back, what stood out wasn't just the politics. It was a decision to participate. This is a conversation about someone who moved from navigating the system as a patient to stepping inside it, choosing to engage, to contribute, and to try to shape something better. Xavier's journey begins with injury and recovery, sure, but it evolves into a much bigger question. What responsibility do individuals and communities have in driving change? So, let's jump right into today's episode, starting with some rapid fire questions. Are you ready for some rapid fire questions?
Yes, let's get into it.
All right, here we go. What's something people get wrong about you?
Maybe my consumption on cannabis, actually. I feel like I get judged from it because I do consume quite a bit of it and in public, and no one understands why.
What's a hill you'll die on that most people think isn't important?
We should be building hempcrete houses everywhere in Australia. Love it.
Oh my God, yes! Yes, sir. What's something you've changed your mind about in the last 5 years?
Traveling to India, a number of years ago would have been not keen. And then I did it, and oh, wowza, what a beautiful, beautiful country and society.
Yeah, I want to travel to India, but kind of like you, I'm a little nervous to do it.
Yeah, honestly, it's just do it. Don't think about it. Go. It is beautiful. It is beautiful. The people are beautiful.
All right, I'll have to put it back on the travel list, I guess.
Highly recommend.
What's a skill everyone should learn?
Listening.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's something you've become less certain about as you've gotten older?
The dire state of our environment at the moment, I think as well, not only being older, the more I'm learning, the more it's looking a little bit scary.
What's one thing politics gets wrong?
What is one thing politics get wrong? I think at the moment they just don't really understand what it's like being a common person. There's a lot of politicians in there that career politicians and haven't really done anything outside of politics. And yeah, I just don't think they understand what the struggles of everyday life.
Yeah, I think that's a very good observation. Some career politicians are definitely out of touch with the common everyday Australian experience.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But hopefully we can change that.
Fingers crossed. What do you think motivates you more, hope or frustration?
Oh, definitely hope. I think you got to be positive in these situations. So yeah, hope's the nicer one. So definitely hope. Don't get me wrong, there is frustration and that turns into motivation, but yeah, looking for the smiles in this cause.
For sure, I think frustration might initially spur you into action, but I think it is hope that keeps you going.
Yeah, well summarized.
What's something worth fighting for, even if you never see the result?
Social injustice, but the like from fighting and from being a fighter, I am seeing we are getting results, and I feel like a lot of people think that there aren't results and there aren't battles that we can win, but there most definitely is. Just got to get into them.
I love that perspective. Last question, listener submitted question. And this is coming from Jared in Tennyson Point, New South Wales. And he wants to know, what other reliable educational resources or platforms would you recommend for Australian patients who want to better understand cannabis, dosing, products, and how to use them safely?
Good question. At the moment, there are a number of different social media platforms that are really emerging in this space. You've got my good friend Daniel from Let's Budvocate, who is reminding people weekly to clean that bong. I would also say as well, AusCan Reviews. The site is fantastic. It's got a huge inventory. Even listening to this podcast and other podcasts like this is a great educational tool. You've also got Kayla, kind of curious, with her Terpene Tuesdays, which I am such a big fan of that show. And I even got the pleasure of, while in Nimbin Mardi Gras, being able to have my own episode. What a hoot that was. I don't want to stop at 3. I want to keep going.
I was gonna say, those are you don't know it yet, but Daniel's coming on the show too. So I'm super excited that you made us to work with that. Shout out to him because I love his work too. And same with Kyla. She's doing great with her Terpene Tuesdays and stuff. You're so right. There are definitely a lot of emerging educational resources out there.
For sure. Just as well, a little honorable mention to the hemp building directory. I know it's not answering the question exactly for cannabis and medical patients, but the hemp building directory is a great resource as well for all things in the hemp industry. So I just wanted to do a shout out to that site.
Oh, we'll definitely make sure that that's in the show notes. I like that. That was almost a full circle right here in rapid fire. You started with hempcrete and then you brought it all the way back. Good job, Xavier.
Yeah, absolutely love the hemp side of things with the plant.
Like I said, that's full circle moment, and we haven't even gotten into the episode. Thank you. Xavier, it was an absolute pleasure playing rapid fire with you.
That was good fun. Thank you.
It is. It's probably my favorite segment. You learn so much during rapid fire. You really do.
For sure. And it definitely breaks the ice, lowering the heart rate. The CBD's kicking in.
There we go. I love it, sir. I love it. So we actually met at Nimbin Mardi Gras. Fabulous event. It was my first year to go to that event, and I will definitely be back for another one. I want to start because you are getting into politics, and this is something that we will touch on as the episode goes. But I want to start with, I guess, what happened in your life? Because nobody ever wakes up in the morning and they say to themselves, oh, I'm going to get into advocacy today, or, oh, I'm going to throw my name into the hat for politics today. Usually something happens and it's a personal experience and it changes your direction in life and it spurs a whole new avenue for you. So, Xavier, take me back to what happened with you and what opened this new path for you.
I feel like I had a series of like mini events that then where I had the big event for me. Like my whole life, I've been pretty open around cannabis use, other than like in the early days when I was spoon-fed some of the drug propaganda in my early years when I was at a Catholic primary school and was terrified of using drugs. And then I go to a state public school and things start to change a little bit. But my mindset started to go a lot more science-based. When I was 18, I just left high school. I did a controversial Facebook post on cannabis. I wasn't even really like totally into smoking or using cannabis then, but still it's kicked up a massive stir, and I lost a heap of friends off from that post. But, so be it. I did kind of use it socially in my childhood, and I probably didn't even realize at the time I was self-medicating like with a bit of ADHD symptoms. It just kind of like really worked for me, and it never really gave me any negative consequences. I then got to the age of about 27, and I had a workplace injury, which like absolutely changed my life. I used to be an arborist. Absolutely loved that job. So physically demanding, which I love just being active. And after working too hard and a number of like safety complications at work, I got 3 bulge discs in my spine, so L1, 4, and 5. Like all gone. I lost everything at the time. Lost my relationship, lost my job, lost my career goals. I lost the ability to play team sport. And for the next 6 to 12 months, I basically couldn't even walk. Because I was lucky, I studied a Bachelor of Sports Science after I did high school, and that really gave me all the tools to apply on myself and to rehab my injury. But I'm also very lucky that I'm very open with using alternative medicines. So when I originally was told about my injury, they tried to put me on a host of different opioids. I tried them all because I was just like, look, you know what? I'll give Western medicine a crack. I'm not gonna just talk about it and not try. So I gave it all a go, and I found like within 5 days, I could feel a difference with my mental health and my mental outlook. I went from being a really positive person to just being really angry all the time, and I was really short-tempered, and I just did not like the person I was becoming. And so straight away I was like, nah, to my doctors, I'm not doing this. I've refused to use these synthetic substances. I'm going plant-based. I already know that cannabis is good, has worked for me in the past. So this was the first time I was actually able to then go on to the MedCan side of things, and started purchasing flower, oils. And what I also did use was a host of topical creams on my injury site. That in conjunction with eating healthy food and exercising, after 18 to 24 months, the doctors had said, looking at my CT scans, that it's mind-blowing the results. Your discs have almost fully recovered.
That's impressive.
Yeah. I still live in pain. There's a whole mental health side of things. While I'm going through like all these court cases, it's just a bit of a nightmare for a number of things that I can and can't do. And just trying to work on the mental health side of things. And but we're getting there. It's an injury for life, unfortunately. But cannabis has definitely helped me heal, and I think the most important thing, it's actually helped me recover, go to the gym more often, and work harder when I'm in the gym.
It's really interesting that you say that, because I'm very similar in the sense that, okay, so I get migraines, and with migraines, they don't really know what the trigger is. Everybody's different, blah, 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 but they will give you a host of pharmaceuticals to deal with them. Some will try to, prevent them. Some are you have to take when the migraine kicks in, because it's more of a management of the migraine symptoms and all this other stuff. But the biggest thing for me was that I didn't feel like myself, like what you were saying. I kind of lost, I guess, who I was. And I got a little bit angry, and I got frustrated with things. And weird, I almost said the exact same thing to my doctor. I'm like, yeah, look, I don't want to hate on Western medicine. There's absolutely a place for it. However, I'm just not jiving with these synthetic drugs. They're just not making me happy. And like you, I'm somebody who have used cannabis for a very long time, and it works for me. And so for me, it was a transition back to herbal medicine, plant medicine. And I'm a lot happier. And it did. It gave me back this quality of life that I didn't have when I was on all of this other stuff. And so I think there's a big misconception there about how, I guess, recovery from chronic illness, I don't even want to call it a recovery because it is, it's a chronic thing. And like you're saying, it's with you for the rest of your life. So it's not necessarily a recovery, but I do think people have misconceptions about how cannabis can work into that.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. When I get to the gym, one of the first things I do is I quickly have a dry herb vape, go in, and it just allows my whole body to just relax a lot more. I'm a lot more pain free, and then I'm able to do the movements and exercises that I need to do to strengthen my muscles to rehabilitate myself and get me back out in the polling booths, telling everyone they need to vote one to legalize cannabis. Like that's why I'm out there. That's why I'm doing it. It just
I love it. Look at that segue
yeah.
into polling booths. Okay, all
Yeah.
right. So I guess the thing is that for a lot of people, that's where I guess the story ends, in the sense that they go into their recovery stage, or they're bouncing back stage where they're reclaiming back a little bit of quality of life and they're happy. And that's kind of where the story ends. But for you, that experience opened a door to something much bigger. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. Well, look, right before I got injured, I did also receive the Boot of Justice, which was also another big motivator. Not just the injury, but essentially, I was at a 420 protest, and when I was at the 420 protest, there was a lot of police. It was ridiculous, the amount of police, or to the point where there was probably one police officer per person that was there. It was disgusting. They were using all these tactics to search people and to scare people, and to try and give as many cautions out as possible, and in some cases fines. They use dogs to try and catch people, which obviously that has a lot of there's a lot of arguments that they do not really work. They just intimidate people. So there was a guy walking his dog in a public park, distracting all the other dogs, and the police officers went up to him and said that he needs to leave the park. And I was like pretty fed up at this point with what was going on around me this day. So I went into that conversation, was like, "Excuse me, mate, but like the guy's in a public park. He's allowed to have his dog here, and if that's a problem, like, just proves these dogs don't work." He did not like that I was injecting myself into this conversation. And next thing you know, I was basically surrounded by like 15, 20 police officers. As this all happened, this was probably the first time I realized that, like, being surrounded by police, I just do not get intimidated. Bring them on. Uh, yeah. So then the sniffer dog came at me. It jumped on me, and like I love animals. What do you think an animal loving person does when a dog jumps on you? Exactly.
Yeah.
You just
You just kind of start petting. You're like, oh my gosh, puppy. Yeah.
Puppy.
Yeah, guilty. That's what I would have done.
That's the wrong answer. That got me in a lot of trouble. The police officer shoved me away. And as that happened, I got a bit upset. I later did a bit of Googling. If a police dog touches you, that is now an illegal search, and they cannot do anything to you moving forward. After being touched, I then had a police officer get behind me and like basically chicken wing my arm. And he just started elbowing me in the back, and he just kept laying elbows into me. He then pulled me away from the crowd and was whispering in my ear absolute profanity. And I repeated everything he said out loud. So anything he said, I just said, "Yeah, you call me XYZ." And I basically did that to give, if anyone started recording, there you go. There's the evidence of everything that he was whispering. Like, why would I say those things? It was a joke. I then got searched in all the inappropriate parts as well. Yeah, it's absolutely disgusting. That was another moment that really spurred me. That, the injury, and then yeah, I guess, well, to be honest, the third thing is actually not being able to get a job after being injured. Oh.
The trifecta.
Yeah, I had a trifecta. True, there's three. That's one job that you do not need to do a drug test for.
I feel like this is a setup because I want to say media, but go.
Politician.
Yeah. Look, I'm going to call it out. I'm glad that you said that. How come Barnaby Joyce can get absolutely just trash, like blotto drunk in our freaking capital, pass out on the streets, and what do? We pick him up, we dust him off, and we're like, bro, it's okay. We'll just, you know what? We'll send you to rehab. You'll be all right. What is that?
What's going on? When I worked for city councils as a horticulturalist, just cut grass. You can't smoke grass before you go for that job because you're going to get THC found in your system and you will become ineligible for that job. What a joke.
You would think that for a job like that, it would be a prereq, though.
100%. This is the battle.
I will say, if Barnaby Joyce is listening, I'd love to have you on the show. I'd love to have a chit chat. I mean, maybe you and I could roll one up one day, Barnaby. Reach out to me.
Yeah, look, it wouldn't surprise me if he's dabbled.
I think a lot of politicians do. They just don't want to admit it.
Yeah, I reckon Pauline has dabbled as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's dabbled.
Oh, this is 100%. Look, anybody that owns, what was it, a fish and chip shop? Look, I'm sorry, but we all watched No Reservations with Anthony Bourdain. We all read Kitchen Confidential. Drugs are a part of hospitality. She's absolutely rolled one up at one point or another.
100%. 100%.
I love you guys both, though. Don't come after me. Please don't come after me, One Nation. Anyways, let's go back to your story, Xavier.
Yeah.
So you've had a couple of things that have happened. Obviously, back to one of those rapid fire questions, perhaps frustrations kicked it off to begin with, but now you're segueing, you've made the decision that there needs to be a better way. And at some point you've decided, okay, I'm going to stop watching from the sidelines and you're going to step directly into the process.
Well, in 2021, actually, we go back even further than that. 2016, my mother went to a meeting in Victoria. It was just about cannabis legalization, nothing more, nothing less. She went to that meeting and 4 people were in attendance. And essentially they started talking. That was the first conversations of a legalized cannabis party being formed. Then skip to 2021. There were a couple of other state branches that were popping open, and then the state election, which was in 2022, then pops up. 6 weeks before the state election, the legalized cannabis party was formed, and my entire family were all signed up as members to the legalized cannabis party. So we were there from day one. My family then met David Eddershank. So David Eddershank, he ran as a number 1 in the upper metropolitan region, and my mum was the number 2. So we were out advocating for my mother and David. And what an experience that was. It was the first time I really got a taste of what it was like being on a polling booth. And it is a completely different world. Completely different world.
Okay, so talk to me about that. What is it like? Because for me as a voter, I got to be honest, I'm all about getting my democracy sausage, going in, getting my vote, coming out. But you're working it, so it's got to be a completely different thing.
Oh, it's it's a jungle. It's a jungle out there.
Jungle, I love it. I love it. Jungle.
Yeah, it's a complete jungle. My first ever experience of being on a polling booth, I received a death threat.
What?
Like, bang, welcome to politics.
What?
Yeah. There was, I was a guy in Sunbury, and he comes up to me and was just disgusted I was there. I had not even really said anything to him. I'm just smiling, holding a call flute, vote 1, legalized cannabis party. That's all I was saying. And he comes up to me, clenched his fists, and I was like, "Oh, this is going to be interesting." And was just disgusted that I was there. And he then said, what did he say to me? Yeah, he threatened to bash me. And I was just like, well, man, like, I'm just here for peace and love, just advocating for this leaf, like, relax. He then walked off and went into the polling booth. And when he walked back out, he apologized to me. And I'm convinced his partner had like told him off while they went in and voted. So shout out to that partner. You're a good lass. So the guy then comes up to me and he's like, "Oh, look, I'm sorry. I just want to quickly explain the reason why I have a bad hatred towards cannabis is I used to be a police officer. I went to a drug raid, cannabis was involved, and shots were fired." And I was like, well, you do realize, like, if we do what I'm saying and we legalized cannabis, you probably wouldn't have been there. You wouldn't have had the shots fired, and you would be walking around without PTSD right now. And his response was to clench his fist and to be like, "Oh, I'm gonna get you."
Oh, no. What?
This takes me back to what I said before. People just need to listen a bit better and a bit more.
Yeah, man. Like, because, you're right, though. At the end of the day, if it was legalized, then we wouldn't be wasting police resources to go bust things. We'd be embracing the economy and bringing that money and tax dollars and all of that stuff in. Yeah, one day. How do I want to say that? Okay. What do you think actually influences voters?
Yeah, it's a really good question because it's a hot topic of discussion within the party at the moment because, like, as cannabis advocates, when we're on a polling booth, like, there's one thing we want to talk about, and that's cannabis. However, is that going to actually get people to give us the one? Because the reality is that there's a lot of things going wrong in our society, local, state, and federal levels. Is cannabis legalization the majority of people's number one issue? The reality is that it's probably not. So as a party, we do kind of need to diversify ourselves and start talking to people about what other concerns that they have. And I feel like once we start winning a lot of other battles, I feel like we'll actually start earning a lot more respect. And then that's probably one of the best ways we can then help destigmatize the plant. Every single time I'm out there, I'm advocating, I'm in community, I'm doing things, I'm stoned. And it's not stopping me from doing absolutely anything. And I personally think this is the way that we're best going to be able to beat the stigma around cannabis use. People say we're lazy. Well, we just got to show them we're not. We're out there. We are fighting. We're fighting for the community on other aspects and on other issues. So yeah. Like, on a polling booth, all I want to do is talk about cannabis. But the reality is we really need to start talking about other issues because, I think our cannabis vote is getting close to its peak.
I think you raise an excellent point in the sense that I think some cannabis advocates do kind of misunderstand how elections and politics actually work. It's great to stand up and say, free the weed, but that battle cry only resonates with a handful of people. And you have to be more relatable and more approachable. And like you're saying, you've got to listen more because patients, we're all the same. We just want to be productive members of society. We just don't want to be treated special. We just want to be treated the same. And so I think it's that fine line of finding, I guess, another common ground.
On that though, like with the way the system works, I personally think a lot of voters don't even actually understand how to best vote for the legalized cannabis party. One thing that really, really frustrates me on a polling booth when people walk out and they're like, "Oh, Xavier, I voted for you." And I'm like, "What'd you give me? What'd you give me?" And they go, 2. "Oh, you gave me a 2. Who did you give the 1 to?" And more often than not, it was to either their Labor or Liberal candidates. Now, the problem is with voting in such a way is that as soon as you vote Labor or Liberal, your vote does not go anywhere. Because we've got the two-party preference system, that vote it won't flow anywhere. It stays with the major party, and that's it. And when they get your 1, that means they don't have to work anywhere near as hard for you either. And, in the last state election, the last federal election, we're having for one of the first times ever, minor parties almost receiving more votes than major parties, which is, I think, fantastic because we really need to keep putting the major parties second last and put all your minor parties before them. So the best way to vote is to obviously vote legalize cannabis 1, vote other minor parties 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then when you get to that 2-party preference, if you're a Labor voter, go Labor Liberal. If you're a Liberal voter, you go Liberal Labor. That is the best way to send a clear message to the government.
I'm glad that you actually brought that up because it's very confusing how that whole number system works, especially for somebody who, I can admit, you can tell from the accent, I didn't get my formal education here in Australia. So I do sometimes question how to number things when I go in to vote, right? Because it's a little confusing. And that's a very excellent point in the sense that if you're still putting those major parties in that first spot, that is where your vote goes.
Yeah, it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't send a clear message to the government. Doesn't show to the government where you're like what interests you have. You can, there are so many other niche micro parties. Just a lot of people just are scared with politics, and because of the fear mongering, will go straight to that major party, not realizing how your vote flows. I will say, in Australia, they don't really teach how to vote properly. It's very, very basic, and it's almost like the education is geared towards teaching to vote for your major party first. So I'm not surprised that it's common. I have to another shout out to my Year 7 and 8 English and Humanities teacher, Anne said from Buckley Park Secondary College. What a legend! What a legend she is. She was super, super passionate with politics, and I think she went a bit off curriculum with the way that she taught, and it really, really helped me actually better understand the world that we live in. I just remember when Barack Obama got voted in, she actually played his speech live in class and used that as an educational tool as part of her classroom. And those moments I think have really helped me. But not everyone gets that Year 7, 8 teacher that I did, so I can understand. I'm pretty fortunate.
Yeah, man. Shout outs to teachers.
Yeah.
Seriously, they don't get paid enough.
They do not get paid enough.
No. Look, if I ever got into politics, I'll tell you right now, my platform would be education, infrastructure, healthcare. That's it. That's my platform.
Yeah.
Yep.
You need to have the teachers on your side, and you need to have the nurses on your side.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And you need the infrastructure to support it all.
For sure.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. But that's so interesting, right? Because I got my formal quote unquote education in the States, right? So in the States, you're learning about the Electoral College and this and that. And I remember being a kid wondering, well, why not popular vote? Right. And then to actually be old enough, I'm aging myself, to be old enough to say, no, I've seen it happen where with Al Gore, he won the popular vote, but he didn't get elected, right? And so it makes you wonder, well, we call ourselves a democracy, but why don't we actually go with a popular vote of what our people actually want?
Yeah, look, very, very complicated, very complicated. It's even actually about to get debated in Victorian Parliament right now. So the GVTs they're about to potentially change which are the group voting tickets. So yeah, that's even a whole thing in itself, and they might even be making it even harder for minor parties to sign up, which is a bit of a threat to our democracy right now. I think the major parties can see that minor parties are all of a sudden becoming really hot, but that's a result of Labor and Liberal both really failing for us. Then you've also got the multi-billion-dollar propaganda wheel from Gina Reinhart, Pauline Hanson's One Nation. Add a Y to their acronym, and that's what they really are. They are phonies.
Oh shit.
Just yeah, look, I'm like I understand why they're building such a big vote at the moment, and it's frustration, and frustration's really motivating people to go to the orange wave. Um, I would just don't give up on people who want to vote Pauline Hanson, because I do believe that between now and the state election, they as soon as they start announcing candidates and as soon as they start talking, that's when they'll start getting exposed. If you ever see a One Nation candidate, just ask them questions. Ask them questions about the policies that they will agree on and what they will actually vote on. And also do your research on what One Nation parliamentarians have voted on, not what they say, because what they say and what they vote on are completely different things.
Yeah, man. And that is all public information. You can absolutely Google the orange voting history. I mean, look, even here so I'm in Toowoomba, so that is an uber conservative, what are we? The Groom. So we're LNP and it's a stronghold here. But you know what? Last election, we have a rise of independent. We had what was her name? Susie Holt. And I really probably should have known these stats before I started throwing them out. Point is, though, is that she had enough of the vote that I'm sure that the LNP are a little bit more concerned about this little conservative stronghold that they've had for decades.
It's great to have an independent voice in Parliament, because the reality is when you join like your Labor and your Liberal, those politicians are so silenced in the sense that they can't talk about what they actually personally believe in. They have to talk about what the caucus agrees on. And like whenever I have conversations with Labor or Liberal politicians, some will agree with you on cannabis legalization, but they'll go, "Oh, the caucus, the caucus, the caucus." You know, when I'm in those meetings, I'm fighting for you. But like, are they really?
I don't think they are. But I mean, I guess that's the $1 million question, right? How do we get them to fight for us?
Show a bit of backbone. Show a bit of backbone. The problem is like being a career politician. The most important thing is continually being elected, not producing good policy for the people. Because look, the reality is, if you do put a really really good policy around social issues, you're gonna get slammed by the right. So it's yeah, you do have to it is a balancing act. I get that, but I would like to see a bit more backbone in some of the policy writing, especially around cannabis legalization, because Labor want to be seen tough on crime. So obviously, that's their big slogan going into this state election, legalizing cannabis from the mainstream media. They'll try and pin that as, oh, is that really being tough on crime? But you've got to ask yourself the question: who is profiting from prohibition? The answer to that question is the black market, and it is the criminals. So literally, by having the plant as an illegal substance, the criminals are the guys winning. That's how they're funding all the work that they're doing. So if you want to be tough on crime, you free the weed. That's one of a number of steps. You free the weed.
Well, you take away their cash cow, right?
Yeah.
Like you take that away and then all of a sudden they don't have revenue and then they're like, "Oh, okay, now we're struggling just a little bit," right? And then not even to mention the fact that now you've freed up all of these resources so police can pursue other things and this and that. But hello, let's talk about all the money that would go back into the community. We could do things like education. We could improve healthcare. I joke all the time. I'm like, "Oh, because I live in Queensland, there's the Bruce Highway that goes, up the coast all the way up to like Airlie Beach and stuff. If you live up North Queensland, the Bruce Highway is single lane, head on, like traffic. It is scary sometimes. And that highway gets shut down on the regular because there's accidents on it, because people die. And I'm like, oh my God, if you legalized weed, we could twin the Bruce Highway. You want to do that? Legalize weed. Come on, get with the program.
It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and like by legalizing cannabis, it will then completely change stigma on the entire aspect of the plant. And not only will the medcan industry win, and this is where we go back to the hemp industry, but the hemp industry can absolutely blossom if we just take away a lot of the red tape, and change the stigma around the plant. That we can. It's a multi-billion-dollar market. Australia has so much land. We can. It doesn't use anywhere near as much water. We're a dry country. There's another perfect match. It doesn't require as much fertilizer. If you have a look at the geopolitics of what's happening right now with the Strait of Hormuz closing, not only is oil prices drastically increasing, but the price of fertilizer is drastically increasing. So hemp is a fantastic alternative for farmers. I'm also a qualified horticulturalist, so I do a bit of gardening. And one of the first things I was taught when I went to school was that in Australia we're probably not going to be able to grow fruit and vegetables in our soil in about 60 years, which is wild. That's my lifetime.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah, with current agricultural techniques, that is like literally that's where we're heading. We're making our soil toxic with the amount of synthetic fertilizers that we're using. And I think cannabis has a really, really strong role to play in keeping our soil clean, in that it won't require that amount of fertilizer, and it also won't require that amount of water, and it will clean and aerate your soil. There's just so many benefits. There's a book, Sir Joseph Banks and the Question of Hemp. And it was from Dr. John Jiggins. I highly recommend people to have a read of that book, and it really questions what happened at the start in Australia with the convicts theory. There is a theory that Australia was formed off wanting to start a hemp industry. And when Sir Joseph Banks came to Australia, he actually came with a massive bag of cannabis seeds. And potentially one of the first plants that white people planted on this country was a cannabis plant, because there are a lot of documents where they were looking for other aspects of hemp. They went to New Zealand, didn't listen to the Indigenous people there, just like they don't listen to the Indigenous people here. And yeah, it just hypothesizes this idea that Australia was literally born off wanting to grow cannabis. And I just wish more people knew that.
I gotta read this book, man. That sounds like an interesting theory for sure.
Yeah.
What was it called again? Sorry?
Sir Joseph Banks and the Question of Hemp.
And the Question of Hemp. Well, all right. I'm gonna. Hey, look, maybe that's gonna be my next new thing. I'm gonna start a book club. And we're all going to start reading books, like one book a month, man. I love it, though, because I've never heard of that book. But, I mean, why the hell not? Again, in the sense that that's one of the great things, well, maybe not in 60 years, but right now, one of the great things about this country is that you can grow basically anything. I mean, it's wild. In Toowoomba, I grow mangoes next to blueberries, and that's just... like, one needs the cold and then one needs the tropical. Like, how do I do that? I don't know. I've got great soil. That's how I do it. But like, it's, wow. I never want to go read the book now.
Yeah, so it's unfortunate that the medcan, the drug side of cannabis has just really made a lot of people scared of the entire plant. And it's, really, really, really frustrating. But we got hope.
We do. You got to have hope, man. You got to have hope, right? I mean, that's why we do what we do.
I feel like it's not if, it's just when. That's where we're at. Like, we are really, really close. We are close, and you just need to make sure in this next state election that you have representatives from the Legalised Cannabis Party in Parliament to keep this conversation going. We are really, really close. Really close.
I sure as shit hope so, sir. I sure as shit hope so. To change gears ever so slightly, let's talk about the Grassroots Collective. Where did the idea come from?
Yeah, so the Grassroots Collective came from an idea of to be honest, just people I met over the advocacy work I'd done over the years. So I ran in the Werribee by-election and meet a heap of people while I was volunteering, while I was polling. And then I also ran again in the Gorton election, and so the federal election in the seat of Gorton. When I ran in that election, again, I met another community. I met more people, more volunteers. At the end of the Gorton election, I decided to take every single one of my volunteers out for breakfast and have a bit of a yarn with them. And we did like a whole election recap, and I was just trying to get a big picture of what did we do right, what did we do wrong, what do you guys think we can do moving forward? And essentially, after I met a number of people, I was like, you know what, these people all do seem quite motivated, have a bit of time, and bang, we decided to all come to my place one day, smoke a couple of joints, and decide we needed to start supporting the legalized cannabis party on a much more consistent basis. We need to start meeting up a lot more consistently. Because they're a minor party, they don't have a lot of resources, they don't have a lot of people. So I understand that they just unfortunately have their hands tied, and just don't have the ability to really like properly engage with their volunteers. Because people have to remember this party was born 5 weeks before we got elected. It's like unheard of. The Greens have been around for years. The Victorian Socialists have been around for years. This is a new puppy. So we're really like we're just learning as we're going. So yeah, we decided to start this this group. We meet once a week in Brunswick on Monday nights. You can also meet via Google Meets. So we're trying to make it as accessible as possible for people, because we do understand with cannabis consumption does come, the fear of losing your license when you're trying to get to meeting places. So we are trying our very best to make them accessible. And yeah, essentially we just have a bit of a chat about different strategies and ideas to try and help promote the cause. Because I'm not sure if people know this, but the legalized cannabis party gets shadow banned a lot on social media. And my accounts have gotten shadow banned. My personal accounts, my Xavier Menta legalized cannabis advocacy page gets silenced, and it always gets silenced right when we want to send the message urgently as well. So like when the Seedlings did a Nimbin road trip, we did an expression of interest form and put a post out, and within minutes I received a notification that we'd been shadow banned for a week.
Let's talk about that for just a split second, in the sense that, because I've got the media background, in theory, when you're a political party, when you're going into an election, you're supposed to give all of the candidates equal time so they can get their message out, right? Equal time. You're not supposed to show preference towards a party or, again, it's all about equal coverage. So when you have a party like the Legalized Cannabis Party who goes to do a push because we're going into an election and they get shadow banned, is that not kind of unfair?
Sure, for sure. I think yeah. I'm literally writing up the volunteer guide like this morning, and we were thinking about putting in a segment about the social media aspects. I really don't think our community actually know this, because a lot of people are missing key messages or key points. And it's so we've had I think there's even been websites online where they've used forums and they've tried to connect community, and even these websites have been blocked and banned. It's just, we have a lot of challenges in this space. But the Legalized Cannabis Party are actually forming a communication tool. We have had it around for a little bit. It's called the Mighty Network. And essentially, when you join the Legalized Cannabis Party as a member, you then receive an invitation to join the community. And it's literally its own little social media platform. It's pretty cool. It's quiet, but it is cool. So shout out to everyone to get onto that. Sign up to the Legalized Cannabis Party. Get that link and start communicating and connecting with the community, because we need to do it off a Meta platform. Meta is very much holding us back from connecting and shadow banning us at times where we really need to be getting our messages out. And the best thing is about Mighty Network is there actually are a few educational tools there as well. There's a heap of documentaries. We have a induction. So we're trying to get all our advocates on the same message, because I do feel like that because cannabis is such a complex subject, there are differing opinions. We do need people to stay on party line, stay on the same key message. So we're starting to have a much more consistent message to the public. And yeah, we just need to make sure that everyone's on the same page. It's a really, really cool tool. I highly, highly suggest people to get onto the Mighty Network.
It's all about the importance of building community, right? What have you learned personally from building a community?
Oh, it's so rewarding. That's what yeah. Like I'd volunteer a lot and a lot of time into this cause. I don't take like much money from it whatsoever, and because of my back, I don't have really a good earning capacity anyway. And for me, money's not the importance. It's just the joy and pleasure I'm getting out of building the community around me. Oh, it's such a good group. And like I have to say, so my birthday was last week, and the amount of messages that I got from people that I'd met once or twice, and only had one or two conversations with them, but somehow they remembered to reach out on my birthday. Like that was so special. Yeah, it's the community that definitely motivate me and really keep me going.
100%, Sarah, because I feel the same way. A few years ago, I developed a whole entire new community that has embraced me, that cheers me on. When I announce a small little achievement, man, they're in the comments. They're cheering for me. They're like, girl, you got this. And I'm like, yeah, I do got this. And like I said, 3 years ago, that wasn't there. And I do think that is one of my main driving forces, is the community that I don't want to be like I built around me. It's not me. It's that the community itself came together and that they help each other. And it's beautiful, to be honest.
Ask Christina, when you went to Mardi Gras, what did you feel? What was the vibe?
Um, Look, I'll be honest, when I first showed up, I was like, oh my God, I'm a little too old for this. Like 20 years ago, this would have been me. I would have been out there dirty, muddy, whatever, bring it on, don't care, let's do it. Like, all right. I'm like 47. I did question a little. I was like, oh, maybe I've slightly outgrown this. But then it was this amazing experience because every person that I spoke to um, was just full of excitement to be there. And it was an excitement that I haven't seen in a really long time. And so it was neat to realize that the movement, if you will, is living and breathing, and it's constantly evolving. But at the core, it's still the same. Because for me, when I think back to my early days with cannabis, it was about community. It was about hanging out with friends. Like I've been very open about the fact that my first experiences were in South Texas with, Mexican brick dirt. Like, what the hell was I doing with brick weed? Like, that's some horrible stuff when you stop to think about it, to how far we've gone. But 14-year-old me loved it. And I don't think it was necessarily the cannabis that I loved. I think it was the community. It was the hanging out with my friends. It was the art of rolling a joint. It was making some fun of somebody because they couldn't roll the joint right. It was passing it around. It was getting the giggles. It was arguing over where you were going for the munchies. And then ultimately deciding you're not going anywhere. We're just calling pizza or having pizza delivered. Because again, it's the 90s and nobody delivers except pizza. But it was those experiences that I miss the most about cannabis. And I think on some level, it's what I push for legalization the most, is that community and that connection that we're missing out on right now.
Yeah. Like a lot of people are scared on community. A lot of people are scared about joining political parties, but the reality is our political party is exactly trying to build that because of the fear and the policing around our community. We're so distant from each other, I find. And going to that Mardi Gras event, which is such a centralized event for our community, really allows us to properly connect. It's how me and you connected. It's how I've connected with a lot of other people. It was just, for me, it was such a magical and, really magical and community building moment. It really helps energize and spur and there's just something going on in that air. There's something in the air.
I'll be honest. I mean, I don't want to be like, I've never thought about having politicians on the show. I'm sure I have in the back of my mind at some point thought about it. But it wasn't until I went to Nimbin where I met you and I met Miles that I was like, you know what? Let's bring some polys on the show, or people who are trying to get into politics, who are trying to change things. I'm like, we can talk to some polys, because my media background, normally when anybody in politics comes to talk to you in the media, straight up, it's because they want something, right? They want to, I don't want to be like they want to manipulate the story. That's not what I want to say, but they absolutely want you to share something that they want to promote, right? But like I said, hanging out with you guys in Nimbin, it was great to be like, no. You guys are real people and you're actually genuinely here for the cause. You actually are trying to make, like what we're saying, a community for places where people feel safe, where there isn't a stigma.
Spot on. That's literally actually one of our collective's goals, is to create safe spaces. And I'm sure the party we're trying to create safe spaces all around Australia, essentially. And you are right. The people within this party they're all such gems, and there's such diversity and such personality as well. And because the Legalized Cannabis Party has like such a non-judging workplace environment, like especially around your drug use and cannabis use, like I can consume cannabis while I'm on the job and no one second guesses any questions. And no one judges you. And by having like a really positive like society, or because I've got a very positive environment around me, it's actually really allowing me to flourish. But if I was in a different workplace environment where I was hiding my cannabis consumption and trying to thrive, that's when you internalize everything, and you get a lot of the bad experiences of cannabis. And it's not the cannabis's fault; it's the bloody environment's fault. Shout out to Michael Balderson I remember we were in a candidate meeting when I did the Werribee by-election. I was like a little bit cautious about my cannabis consumption. I just didn't know, like, do I do it? Do I don't? Am I public about it? And I was very like reserved, very, very reserved. And in the federal election, Michael was kind of like, guys, I really encourage you guys to just do it. Smoke a joint on a polling booth. Show to the people this is what we do. And then when you return after smoking a joint, you'll just be smiling. You'll be happy. You'll be handing out your how to vote cards. You're still doing your job just like everyone else. And this is literally where the fight starts for us. And yeah, I really, really enjoy it. I just get to be myself. That's the main thing. Just really be myself.
Man, and isn't that what we're all trying to do? Just be ourselves?
Yourself, yeah. What is the crime in that? Who are we hurting?
Exactly. No crime, no shame. No. Let's talk about a little bit of a call to action for the community here. What opportunities exist right now for somebody who wants to get involved?
Yeah, right now we're in the planning phase. There's only two months in winter. It's quite cold here, so we've kind of agreed it's not really the best time to be out, especially as a cannabis community. I think being out smoking in winter, you're probably just going to get a bit of bronchitis. We don't want that. We want to be strong going into the election. So right now we are, as a collective, we're very much in the planning phase, and as a party, we're getting close to announcing candidates. Obviously, group GBTs are really going to dictate a lot of that. So the best thing to do is to join the Legalized Cannabis Party, join the Mighty Network. You can also join the Grassroots Collective. I'd reach out to me. I will personally induct you. You can then join the conversation where we're trying to plan a number of community outreach programs. We want to organize a trivia night. We want that trivia night to not only be in one location, we'll go to your locations, because we want to try and do this around town. It's a great way to educate, also bring community together, have a lot of fun. And then it's an opportunity to meet us as a collective. And I feel like once you meet us, you will want to be a part of our little community. The more people that join, the more we're then able to create. So we do have a couple of gaps I can acknowledge we're not getting our message out anywhere near as much as I would like to. So if there are any social media gurus, please come and join. I promise you will not regret it. Great place to start building your portfolio, because the stigma is changing. Do not be afraid. I think just having people power as well is the most important thing going into election time. And when we poll, having 1 to 2 people on a polling booth makes a huge, huge difference. I've completely geeked out and got this massive spreadsheet, and I've compared the differences of having 1 people, 2 people, the type of person that's on the polling booth. Did we also flyer the area? And if you flyer the area and have someone on a polling booth, we get like a 200+% increase on vote. It is wild. And that can be the difference between getting elected and not elected in this upcoming state election. When we're on the polling booth, we're the happy party, we're the happy people. Everyone's arguing and bickering, and we're just there stoned, minding our own thing, having a good time. And if anything, we actually bring everyone together. And when the Legalized Cannabis Party volunteers leave polling booths, everyone around us is spewing because they're like, no, not the cannabis guy. We love you. Like that is the reality of what it's like being on a polling booth. So please, to the cannabis community, do not be scared. I copped that death threat for you guys to go out there and be able to do what we do in peace. And not just me, even like your Max Stones of the movement, your Michael Balderstons, your Fiona Pattons, your David Eddershanks, your Rachel Paynes. We all, early days, we copped it a little bit, but now the stigma is changing, and yeah, people are not being anywhere near as negative towards us. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, man, you guys crawl so the rest of us could walk. That's for sure. I love it, though. I love it. God, Xavier, we can sit here and yip yap all day. I love
Honestly, yeah, no, we could. I'm a bit of a yapper, so I do enjoy a good yarn.
I mean, look, I'm already coming away with, I need to start a book club. Perhaps I need to start doing trivia nights. Like, yeah. This was almost like a brainstorming meeting, to be honest.
If I can motivate people to get out there, get in community, fight the battle for cannabis. It's not just cannabis. Fight other local battles out there. There are so many things that we need to fight for as a community, and cannabis really gives you the power to keep fighting and keep fighting.
Gives you the hope, man. Gives you the hope.
For sure.
Before we wrap up, Xavier, where can people connect with you and learn more about the Grassroots Collective?
Yeah, so right now we're in a bit of a rebrand phase. So we're about to sort out the Instagram handles. So hopefully Christina will do an update for that in the outro. But you can email me on lcpgrassroots.co@gmail.com. You can also find me on Facebook. So my name's Xavier Menta, Cannabis Advocate Vic. So if you reach out to me on either of those platforms, I can then, as I said before, induct you personally into the collective. So then when you're in your first meeting, you are feeling confident, happy and healthy and ready to fight for the cause.
I love it, sir. And we will absolutely make sure that those updated socials are in the show notes for anybody to follow. Xavier,
Thank you.
It has been an absolute pleasure chit-chatting with you. I wish you all the best going into the next election.
Fingers crossed. Absolutely ready to go and really fight for this community.
I wish you the absolute best of luck with it, because I'm telling you, you're fighting the good fight, and we need more people like you.
Thank you, Christina. But so are you with your podcast. The podcast is all, part of spreading the word and breaking down the negative stigma. And shout out to all other cannabis advocates out there. You are all doing a fantastic job. I know there might be dark days and you might have voices in your head, but the hard work is definitely paying off. We just got to keep plugging away, keep being motivated, keep being consistent. It's not if, it's just when. We're close. We are close.
And that's a wrap for this episode of the AusCannaPodcast. Did you catch it? The one reoccurring idea. Change doesn't happen simply because people want it to. It happens when people choose to participate. Throughout this episode, Xavier shared his journey from patient to advocate, and from frustration with the system to actively stepping into it through political engagement, community organizing, and building initiatives like the Grassroots Collective. You don't have to agree with every view discussed in this episode to take something meaningful from it, because at its core, this conversation is about contribution, about people who stay engaged, who show up, who choose to be a part of the process, even when progress is slow or imperfect. And in a space like cannabis, where stigma, policy, and access are still evolving, that kind of participation matters. A huge thank you to Xavier for sharing his story so openly. If you'd like to connect with him or learn more about the Grassroots Collective, you'll find the links in the show notes. And if this episode resonated with you, consider sharing it or leaving a review. It helps more people find these conversations. Until we meet again, friends, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to listen. And remember, a dedicated fool will go further than a passive genius.